Producing charcoal has been Aliyu Abubakar's daily loop for 18 years. One afternoon, Abubakar joined some laborers at a charcoal site in Mokwa town.
Shekara 8 ina wannan aikin na gawayi, amma ba ko da wani lokaci nake yi ba. Sai lokacin da dai abun ya kado mun haka zan taho in na dan samu kudi kawai zan bashi in koma wani wata harka.
Once they assemble the right quantity of logs, the laborers cover the logs with dead leaves and sand, promptly setting fire to the wood.
Gawayi za a yi shi ne, za a yanka ice, za a kwaso shi da mashin, a kawo shi waje, a tara shi, a sa ƙananan itace manya ƙasa, ƙanana sama, za a shirya shi a tswage shi sosai. Idan aka tswage shi sosai, za a nemi labu ko kuma wani haki dai wanda aka san wuta ba za ta kone shi da wuri ba. Za a sa, idan aka sa za a bi shi da ƙasa. Idan aka bi shi da ƙasa sai a rufe shi, ana tahiya ana kula da shi, yana ci kana daddanna shi kana tattakawa, yana ci kana tattaka shi, kana rage ƙasa, kana tafiya yana rage zahi. In ya bude zaka nemo wani haki ka sa ne sannan ka sa ƙasa. Ba wai zaka bar shi haka nan bane kawai in ya bude ka kyale shi, saboda yana zama toka. Amma in kana kula da shi sosai, idan ka samu haki in ya bude ka sa sai ka bi da ƙasa. To gawayi lahiya lojici ba wani kace ni ci. Amma idan ya bude baka sa mai labu ba ka sa ƙasa, kuma yadda yake ice haka zai hito. Amma in kana tahiya da shi yana ci da wuta, kana sawa kana hudawa yana yin salisu ƙanana hayaki yana fita ko ina, lokacin ne zai hito maka asalin quality gawayi.
The woods crackled in the heat for days until the laborers returned to douse the dying embers and excavate the resulting mass of luminous black coal. Afterwards, they stuffed the charcoal into white bags weighing 15 kg and loaded them onto trucks that ferried the combustible goods to buyers in town.
Wani yake ɗaukar mu kai mana mai aiki. Mun kama yake aiki sai ya biya mu. Wani na samun 100,000, wani na samun 50,000 abin da yake na kaza a baka.
Mokwa Forest Reserve is one of the 94 reserves covering about 76,300 square kilometers. The reserve, which spans 8,000 hectares, confronts increasing deforestation with a surge in demand for charcoal by local residents. The effect of this indiscriminate deforestation can be seen in extreme weather conditions, causing flooding and erosion, now posing a threat to Mokwa residents.
The change in climate is not something that is quite favorable, because ordinarily the pattern of human life, agricultural production, water resources management, forestry, fishery, all aspects of human endeavor are adapted to particular climates. So most of the people living in the coastal areas are facing cases of floods. And larger populations of cities of Lagos, Warri, Port Harcourt and Calabar and the rest, they are all there with larger populations. Some of them like Lagos greater than 20 million people. So what happens if you have flood?
Mounting levels of carbon dioxide in the air have triggered a resultant rise in global temperature. As many more Nigerian households depend on wood for domestic energy, reducing the amount of carbon dioxide in the air can be an uphill struggle. Niger State lost 76 hectares of tree cover, equivalent to 324 kilotons of carbon dioxide emissions in 2022, according to Global Forest Watch, a forest tracking platform. Further complicating this are people like the laborers at the Mokwa Forest Reserve, who depend on deforestation to fend for themselves. For 10 years, Rakibu Sakira has traded at least 200 bags of charcoal each week in Mokwa town.
Tabara, tabata. I regain in Bibi. No, la Ferramolo school. After Ramolo school, I feel say,
According to Sharif Labaran, the state's director of Forestry Service, deforestation in the state dates back to the early 1980s, when the state government introduced the Tongia farming scheme, which allowed farmers to cultivate crops in the forest. To expand their farmlands, most farmers encroached on the forest reserves.
This reserve, you understand me, from the establishment, it is a place that should be protected. You understand me? Protected against any encroachment, anyone. It's a place, established for biodiversity conservation, strictly. It's what we call Tongia farming scheme that was introduced early 80s. Because if I may check my record very well, that is the genesis of, the problem we have on deforestation. Because if I should bring up the file, it is, it is an application. It is a kind of demand from the locals to their traditional rulers, then to the ministry, giving them access to these reserves under this 10-year farming scheme. Definitely we have the reserve. Let me say we have the reserve by name, forest reserve, because when the impression is there, when they said forest reserves, you expect to come and see a place, thickly covered, vegetative. But at the end of the day, at least you can only see, grassland, or sometimes where shrubs like this. Mokwa is vast. You understand me? Mokwa as a local government is vast. We have an area forest officer there with his staff. But I want to tell you that this is a challenge. I'm saying he's not mobile to patrol the forest. These are the major challenge that we are facing. But thank God, with the coming, like I say, with the coming of this government, we have seen light. We have seen light, and it's ready to be supportive on that aspect. We've gotten a matching order from a project. You understand me? From a project to plant 16 million seedlings across the state. The matching order stated that we'll have to recover 16,000 hectares degraded forest.
Since cooking gas has soared in price in proportion to the price of petroleum products, many more households are opting for charcoal as a cheaper source of domestic energy.
Ban Ki-moon, former UN Secretary General, mentioned if we want to win the war on climate change, the war on deforestation must first be won. There must be effective legislation that will curb these activities of charcoal, farming, fuel wood, wildfires, and lumberings that causes this deforestation. So I will be able to check this occurrence of climate change. Then that apart again, about legislation, there should be alternative clean energy. Our electricity must be stable, must be accessible, must be affordable.
Having a general perception that their farms will lose their fertility after cultivation, many farmers abandon their farmlands for new ones upon the onset of a new season. Strangely, these farmers who clear and burn trees for planting still bear the brunt as they suffer low crop yield, mainly because the cutting of trees in the forest reduces the earth and water retention capacity of the soil, leaving the area more susceptible to flooding, as experienced in some areas. Mohammed acknowledged the importance of reforestation projects, but expressed concerns over the poor maintenance culture, which crowns the possibility of achieving a forested area again. One way to reduce pressure on the forest is to encourage rural communities to adopt liquefied petroleum gas, but the current market price of $1 per kilogram remains out of reach for most locals struggling to improve their living conditions.
There must be this LPG, liquefied petroleum gas, or this cooking gas. The cooking gas now, the price from about 200 to 400 to 500 is now 950 per kg. You cannot tell the person in the rural area you cannot afford these things. So governments must find a way of bringing down the price of the cooking gas and the accessories, cylinders and others, so that people can now move away from these fuel wood issues. to be able to serve and then have a clean energy.
This soaring cost of cooking gas, according to Mohammed, the climatologist, sits at the root of Mokwa's increasing deforestation.
On a forestation program, create forests where there are none. And then on reforestation, wherever you cut down one, you cut one tree, plant two. And it should not be an annual ritual. Tree planting campaigns of where you see Federal Ministry of Agri or Federal Ministry of Environment or state governments or local governments that are doing tree planting campaign and planting 10,000 seedlings. We have been planting 10,000, 15,000, 100,000 seedlings every year. We have never seen a forest or something coming out from there. They will just plant today, tomorrow termites eat it up because there's no maintenance.